Hello folks, I was thinking about things like gun bans. I thought, well, even if they banned all the people having them, ordinary people, the criminal sorts could still get hold of them. All the time that the military and the police have got guns, then the criminals with contacts in such organisations, no doubt, well, I'm sure they have, you know, they'd be able to get hold of it, wouldn't they? Or even if they can't get it from there. If all the time the military and the police use guns, then there's going to be a factory somewhere making guns, isn't there? So it's not going to be impossible for people to get bits of guns and eventually make a gun, smuggling bits out at a time. And you might say, oh well, we have to check them. But even if you did that, say you banned the military and you banned the police and you banned all manufacture of guns, right? Somebody could still look at an old musket and say, oh, I reckon I could make something like that. Which they probably could with a bit of engineering. Well, you have to ban all the engineering workshops. Okay, we'll ban that then. Okay. And then, of course, people might still get ideas and find bits that they could use. Well, alright then. We'll have to ban all the books, all the movies, anything that's got any reference to a gun. You know, rewrite all the dictionaries. It's impossible, isn't it? It's silly. Where do you stop these things? And you think, well, what's wrong with it then? I mean, after all, if somebody got a weapon and somebody else says, oh, I've got one of these too, then they might back off, mightn't they? But if they know that it's a bit like big cats, isn't it? You take a lion, for example. That's probably better to do it as an analogy, isn't it? You take a lion. Lions don't tend to eat lions for dinner, do they? Right? A lion won't eat a lion for dinner, because even if they're the biggest, strongest lion in the jungle, if they attack another lion, they know, yeah, they might win the fight, but that lion's got big claws, he's got sharp teeth, and he could inflict a lot of damage to the other lion. So they kind of look at each other and go, well, we might have a bit of a scrap, but we ain't going to get too serious, because if we do, we could hurt each other, and then neither of us would be able to hunt. So they don't do that. So generally speaking, lions go after animals what are less well armed, don't they? They generally go after the herbivores, what, yeah, they might have antlers and stuff like that, but they're generally not as, no, you ain't got so many sharp bits that come at you, so yeah, and they're not quite so sort of agile as like a lion is, see? And you see that with like nuclear deterrent, don't you? Countries that have got nuclear weapons, generally speaking, go, if we use ours, they'll use theirs, and neither of us will end up with anything, so no, maybe we won't. So nuclear armed countries generally tend to dabble in countries where their military capability is pretty pretty poor, shall we say. So and it's a bit like the lion going after the, yeah, okay, it's like when, I'll say it loosely, we went into Iraq. Yeah, they had tanks, they had guns, they had some sort of missiles, albeit basic ones, and aircraft and stuff like that. But compared with the military of like the developed world, shall we say, they weren't as well equipped as we were, right? Whereas you tend not to get, although the Russians or the Soviets and the Americans did sort of supply equipment and advices to other countries, and they sort of, I think they, like, they might not have said this, but they test each other's weapons against each other with wars in other countries so they could see their performance. But generally speaking, you know, the Soviets and the Americans didn't directly attack each other. It was sort of like indirectly, you know, because it'd be like two lions attacking each other. And yeah, the American lion might have been slightly better than the Soviet lion, but the Soviet lion perhaps had more tanks, so they might not have had quite such good tanks, but there was a lot more of them, so it kind of balanced it out a bit. You know, it's a bit like one lion might be a little bit sort of more mature and bigger and stronger, but the younger lion might be a bit more kind of agile and whatever, so it kind of balances it out, really, doesn't it? And so I think that really you think, well, why don't they want people to have guns? Because after all, what happens if somebody attacks somebody else? It's like with knives, isn't it? If somebody comes at somebody with a knife, and they have, well, certainly in Britain, you're not allowed any item for self-defence. So I suppose what you're supposed to do is stand there, or whatever, take whatever's come in, and then Plod will come along later. That's the police. They come along later, and they go, oh, well, let's examine this body then. Was there any witnesses? Could anybody, has anyone see anything, did they? No? Well, ain't much consolation for the poor sod that got whatever, because they weren't allowed it. Whereas, imagine that scenario where some miscreant comes at somebody with a knife, and that other person goes, oh, there's a miscreant coming at me with a knife. And then they can even up the odds by pulling their own knife. And that miscreant's going to go, a bit like a lion trying to attack another lion. They go, I could get hurt here. Unless they're complete nut job, they're probably going to back off. Or at least, you might be able to negotiate from a position of strength. Whereas if you're saying, can we talk about this? And I did have a mate of mine who said, well, yes, but if you pulled out a knife as well, you'd escalate it. And I think, what? He said, it'd be better to negotiate. And I thought, what? If some nutters come in at you with a knife, you're going to say, oh, excuse me, nutter, would you mind discussing this in a friendly manner? No disrespect to the mate of mine, but I think he'd been drinking a lot of the old propaganda. And I thought, hold on a minute, what's going on? It's sort of, as I say, it's better if you can even up the odds. It probably won't anything happen. They'll probably go, oh shit, so I ain't going here. It's a bit like, it's like a lot of these things, isn't it? It's like in America, where they got areas where, you're not allowed guns in this area. Well, where did the nutcases that with a gun go to shoot loads of people? They go in the very areas where they're not going to get shot at back. Because if they went somewhere like where everybody's got guns, the moment they pulled their gun and got the first round off, somebody would be going, oi, you, stop shooting people, bang. Right, yeah, so they wouldn't get very far, would they? And it's like in Britain, we got gun ban. Okay, yeah, some people got shotguns, and some people with you got to have a license, and some people got licenses to have, certain caliber, generally small caliber rifles. But it's not a huge number of people. I mean, yeah, but the majority of the population haven't got guns, right? The vast majority of people have not got guns, and generally speaking, gun crime's been going up, and they found that in Australia, didn't they? They banned pistols, and so of course all the criminals thinking, oh, that's nice, isn't it? Oh, that's made their job safer, isn't it? I suppose health and safety, you'd say, well, that's a good thing. We can't have those poor criminals hurting themselves. I mean, when they're going about their unlawful business. Makes you think, doesn't it, folks? Cheers for now.